The rain fell like tears from heaven that cold December evening, each droplet carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken prayers. In the heart of Manhattan's Upper East Side, where glass towers kissed the clouds and luxury cars glided through puddles like swans on silk, a small figure huddled beneath the flickering neon of an all-night diner. 8-year-old Maya pressed herself against the cold brick wall. Her threadbare coat, once pink, now faded to the color of forgotten dreams, offering little protection against the merciless storm. Her dark eyes, large and luminous like pools of liquid starlight. Watch the elegant people rush past in their designer umbrellas and tailored coats, their heels clicking symphonies of prosperity on the wet pavement. She clutched a worn photograph to her chest, its edges soft from countless touches. The image showed a younger version of herself with a beautiful woman whose smile could have powered the city's lights. "Mama," she whispered to the rain, her breath forming tiny clouds that disappeared as quickly as her hopes sometimes did. 3 blocks away, in the penthouse suite of the Meridian Tower, Isabella Rosewood stood before floor 2 ceiling windows, watching the same storm paint abstract art across the glass. Once known as Isabella Martinez, she had climbed from nothing to everything, building a fashion empire that dressed celebrities and royalty. Her raven hair was now styled in perfect waves. Her olive skin glowed with the radiance of expensive treatments. And her emerald dress cost more than most people's monthly salaries. But success had come at the ultimate price. 7 years ago, a devastating fire had claimed her small apartment. And in the chaos of that terrible night, she had lost the most precious thing in her world, her 3-year-old daughter, Maya. The authorities had told her the child's body was never found. Lost to the inferno that consumed everything she held dear. The guilt had driven Isabella to the brink of madness. She had searched every orphanage, every shelter, every street corner, spending millions on private investigators and never giving up hope. But as years passed without a trace, the wound in her heart had slowly scarred over, though it never truly healed. Tonight, something inexplicable pulled her from her glass palace into the storm. Perhaps it was intuition, perhaps it was destiny, or perhaps it was simply the universe finally deciding to answer a mother's prayers. Isabella grabbed her black umbrella and casually expensive coat, telling her driver she preferred to walk. The rain kissed her face as she moved through streets that sparkled like diamonds under the city lights. Her Louboutin heels clicked against wet pavement as she made her way downtown, following an invisible thread that seemed to tug at her very soul. As she turned the corner near the diner, her breath caught in her throat. There, pressed against the wall like a discarded angel, was a small girl with eyes that stopped Isabella's heart mid-beat. Those eyes, she knew those eyes. They haunted her dreams and lived in every photograph she treasured. "Sweetheart." Isabella's voice trembled as she approached, her umbrella forgotten, rain streaming down her face like tears of recognition. "Are you all right?" Maya looked up at the elegant woman whose voice sounded like a half-remembered lullaby. Something stirred deep in her chest, a warmth she hadn't felt in years, a recognition that transcended logic. "I'm waiting for my mama," Maya whispered, her voice barely audible above the storm. "She said she'd come back for me." Isabella's knees nearly buckled. With shaking hands, she knelt in the rain, designer dress and all, bringing herself to the child's level. "What's your name, beautiful girl?" "Maya," came the soft reply. "Maya Martinez." The world stopped. The rain ceased to fall in Isabella's consciousness. The city's sounds faded to nothing. Martinez, her maiden name, the name this child would have carried. Maya Isabella breathed, her voice breaking with 7 years of suppressed anguish and impossible hope. "My beautiful Maya." The child's eyes widened as she truly looked at the woman before her. Older, more polished, transformed by time and success, but underneath it all, those same warm brown eyes that had sung her to sleep. The same gentle smile that had kissed away her tears. "Mama," her voice was a whisper of disbelief and desperate hope. Isabella opened her arms, and Maya flew into them like a bird finally finding its home. They held each other in the rain, two souls reunited against impossible odds, their tears mixing with the storm as the universe finally set right what had been torn apart. "I never stopped looking for you," Isabella sobbed into her daughter's hair. Breathing in the scent she thought she'd lost forever. Never, not for a single day. "I knew you'd come," Maya whispered back, her small arms fierce around her mother's neck. "I knew you wouldn't forget me." As they held each other, Isabella's mind raced with questions. How had Maya survived? Where had she been? Who had cared for her? But those questions could wait. What mattered now was that they were together, two pieces of a broken heart finally made whole. Isabella wrapped her coat around Maya, lifting her daughter, her miracle, into her arms. "Let's go home, mi amor," she whispered. "Let's go home." As they walked toward the waiting car Isabella called, the storm began to clear. The city lights reflected off wet streets like stars fallen to earth. And somewhere in the distance, a rainbow began to arc across the night sky, a bridge of hope connecting past and future. Later, in the warmth of Isabella's penthouse, as Maya soaked in a bubble bath that smelled of lavender and dreams, Isabella learned her daughter's story. How she had been rescued from the fire by a homeless veteran who had raised her with love, despite having nothing. How he had passed away 6 months ago, leaving Maya to fend for herself on the streets, but not before filling her heart with stories of the mother who loved her and would someday return. He said angels watch over children who wait for their mamas. Maya explained, her clean hair shining like silk under the bathroom's golden lights. He said, "You were my angel, and you'd find me when the time was right." Isabella's heart swelled with gratitude for the stranger who had kept her daughter safe, who had given Maya hope when she had none to give herself. Tomorrow, she would establish a foundation in his honor, helping homeless veterans and the children they protect. But tonight was for miracles. Tonight was for a mother and daughter who had found each other in a storm, proving that love truly knows no distance, no time, and no obstacle too great to overcome. As Maya fell asleep in her mother's arms, in a bedroom that would soon be filled with toys and laughter and all the childhood dreams that had been delayed but never destroyed, Isabella whispered promises into the darkness. "Never again," she vowed. "I will never lose you again." Outside, the rain had stopped completely, and the stars shone down on Capital City like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Each one a reminder that sometimes, just sometimes, the impossible becomes inevitable, and love truly does conquer all. The next morning brought sunshine and new beginnings. But the real light came from within, from a mother's love rekindled and a daughter's faith rewarded, proving that in a world that can often seem cold and uncaring, kindness, hope, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and child can create miracles that shine brighter than any city skyline.